Why do we build walls around our hearts? We get hurt once, so we put on armor to protect ourselves. We promise that nothing will ever hurt us again, and it works. The armor keeps the pain out, but have you ever noticed the same walls that keep the pain out also keep the love out? What happens when the protection you built becomes the prison you live in? This was the lonely reality of a warrior named Valeric. In his prime, he was a legend on the battlefield, a bastion of strength for his kingdom. But war leaves scars, and one wound, deeper than any blade could make, had terrified him. So, when the final battle was won and the banners were lowered, Valeric did not remove his armor. He wore his heavy iron suit everywhere. He wore it to the market, a hulking, silent figure among the bustling crowds. He wore it to his solitary meals, the clank of his gauntlets echoing in the quiet of his large, empty hall. He even wore it when he tried to sleep, the cold, unyielding metal, a constant companion in the dark. This armor, once a symbol of his strength, became the source of his profound numbness. He would sit by a roaring fire on a cold winter's night, but he could not feel its warmth through the thick steel plate. He was insulated from the simple joys of the world. His young daughter, a bright light in his dim world, would run to him, her arms outstretched for a hug. But she never hugged her father. She only hugged the cold, lifeless steel that encased him. He was safe from swords and arrows, but he was dying of an inner frost, trapped inside the very fortress he had built for his own defense. He was a ghost in his own life, a spectator to his own story. Years passed, the world moved on, seasons changed, and his daughter grew. But for Valeric, time stood still, locked within his metal shell. Then, one day, something began to change. The rain and the morning dew started their slow, patient work. Rust began to creep into the joints of his armor, like a vine strangling a stone statue. First, it was a subtle stiffness in his elbow, then a grinding protest from his knee. Soon, the rust seized the mechanisms entirely. He could barely move. A simple step required immense effort. Turning his head became an agonizing, scraping ordeal. Panic, a feeling he hadn't experienced since the war, began to claw at him from the inside. He was not just trapped, he was becoming a permanent, unmoving monument to his own fear. In a desperate, final effort, he dragged his seizing, creaking body out of his home and down the path toward the village forge. It was a place he hadn't visited in years. This forge was run by an old blacksmith named Torin, a man known less for forging new weapons and more for his strange talent of unmaking things. People said he could unbind any knot, unforge any chain, and reveal the true nature of the metal he worked with. He was a master, not of creation, but of liberation. Valeric, with each step, a symphony of shrieking metal, finally collapsed at the entrance to the forge, his armored body a heap of rusted iron on the dusty ground. Torin emerged from the heat of the fire, wiping soot from his brow with a bare hand. He was a man of quiet strength, his eyes holding the wisdom of someone who understood the breaking points of both steel and men. He looked down at the once great warrior, now a prisoner of his own making. With a rattling gasp, Valeric pleaded, his voice muffled behind his helmet's visor. "Master blacksmith, my armor, it has seized. You must fix the joints, oil the metal. I need to move again, but I cannot take it off. I can never take it off. It is the only thing keeping me safe." Torin circled the fallen knight slowly, his gaze assessing not the craftsmanship of the armor, but the state of the man within. He knelt, his bare fingers tracing the lines of rust that spread like dark veins across the steel. He looked at the visor, knowing the haunted eyes that lay behind it. Safe, Torin's voice was calm, yet it cut through the air like a blacksmith's sharpest chisel. You are not safe, Valeric. You are buried alive. The tool felt like a natural extension of his arm. He held it up, not as a threat, but as an offering of truth. This armor, Torin said, gesturing with the hammer, was forged for a war that ended 10 years ago. The enemy is gone. The swords are sheathed. The world is at peace. But you are still fighting. Every single day, you fight a battle that is already over. Valeric tried to protest, to explain the necessity of his vigilance, but the words caught in his throat. Torin stepped closer, his voice softening, but his words striking deeper. You have worn this iron shell for so long that you have forgotten the feeling of your own skin. You think this cage is a part of you, but it is not. It is a barrier to everything. To feel the warmth of the sun, you must risk the chill of the rain. To feel a gentle breeze, you must risk the bite of the cold. To feel the embrace of your child, Valeric, you must risk the memory of the hurt. You cannot have connection without vulnerability. There is no other way. The old blacksmith laid the hammer down and looked Valeric directly in the eyes, or at least where his eyes would be. You must choose, warrior. You must choose right now. Do you want to be safe and alone, or do you want to be vulnerable and alive? The question hung in the hot air of the forge, heavier than any armor. And in that moment, a flicker of movement at the doorway caught Valeric's eye. It was his daughter, standing there, her expression a mixture of fear and hope. She wasn't a little girl anymore. 10 years. He had missed 10 years of her warmth, 10 years of her laughter, 10 years of her life, all because he was afraid of a wound that might never come again. He saw it then with a clarity that was like a bolt of lightning. His safety had not been safety at all. It had been a slow death. His armor had not saved his life. It had cost him his life. A single difficult tear traced a path through the grime on his unseen cheek. He took a ragged breath, the first real breath he had taken in a decade. He looked at Torin, and with all the strength he had left, he gave a slow, deliberate nod. His voice, when it came, was a choked whisper, but it was clear. Cut it off. The work that followed was not easy. It took hours of hammering, prying, and cutting. With each piece of rusted plate that fell away, Valeric felt a strange mix of terror and relief. It was like shedding a second skin, a dead part of himself. Finally, the last piece, the heavy helmet, was lifted from his head. The light of the forge flooded his vision, and the fresh air filled his lungs. He was pale, scarred, and trembling, but he was present. Do not think the story ends there, at the forge. The true change came in the days that followed. We see Valeric now, not in a castle hall, but sitting on a simple wooden bench in his garden. He is wearing simple cloth tunics. He looks thinner, more fragile. The scars on his arms and face are visible to the world. A cool wind blows, and he shivers. But then a smile spreads across his face. A real, genuine smile. Because he can feel it. His daughter, seeing him from the doorway, runs to him. This time, there is no metal in her way. He reaches out, his hands no longer covered in gauntlets, and he pulls her into a hug. And for the first time in 10 years, Valeric feels the warmth of another person. He feels the beating of another heart against his own. It is overwhelming. It is terrifying. It is beautiful. He is vulnerable. He is scarred. But he is free. and he is, at long last, alive. The moral of this story is that the emotional walls we build to protect ourselves from pain often become the prisons that isolate us from joy. True strength is not found in never getting hurt, but in having the courage to be vulnerable enough to truly feel life again. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content that explores the heart of the human experience.